Welcome back to the Allied Risk Partners portal. Today, or for this video rather, we are going through the new submission process. The new submission process is a little bit longer of a video and has a few things that are attached to it. We will bring in things for like the site assistant, which kind of connects into the workflows of how everything goes with the submissions. And then we will also talk about some of the hint feature stuff as we go through the product. So we will begin with a more common product, homeowners. We will start that here. And as you can see, we can look up past personal lines customers, or we can create a new one. In this case, we are going to create a new one. And we're going to name that new one John Doe, just generic information. Perfect. Email is johndoe@gmail.com. And as we go through this, we can keep the hints open so you can kind of see what stuff is being added. We will add just random information, just a random address I know from our area. This isn't going to correlate. As you can see, some of the inputs start coming up. We're going to say we started living at this house a week ago. This is the primary residence. We own this home. This is our date of birth. Say is a bit in the past. We are male, and before continuing, please review and acknowledge the below customer disclaimer. This you have to tell your customer and make sure that they understand that all this stuff comes into effect when calculating the price of a rate. I have read that to the customer. Continuing on, this is household members. This is the generic information of our customer. In this, just generic data. You can add a little bit more, not too much more, but if you wanted to know middle name, suffix, stuff like that. Continuing on, you can also add more members to the household, wife, kids, such and such. Next is the location. This is like I said, just random location. It's not going to pull up any data or anything. It is just random. So we are going to continue as we go through here. You will see we will not get a rate on this home, but you will be able to see the process, and then I'll go back and give it a valid address. So going through here, these are just some questions that you can look through as well if we wanted to know what foundation type was specifically, exterior wall construction was, exterior finish, and it highlights them as you go through. And here we go. How many fireplaces? This is Florida, so none. We have a built-in garage, and we have, let's say we have 3 bath, and normally built quality bathroom and kitchen. 2001, we're going to say we don't have any updates since the home has been built. Theft alarm, no. Fire alarm, yes. We have one in the home. We have a deadbolt lock, and we have a fire extinguisher. Perfect. Now going back to the tasks, we can see that this John Doe quote was created, and we can see that we have started the automated workflow process, and it wants us to complete and send the quote to customer. We will complete and send this quote to a customer. So now we're just going through, we're still answering some of the questions. Are you retired? Is this residency type? What is it? Is it a townhome? Is it a dwelling? Is it a duplex, triplex? So on and so forth. And again, you have some of this stuff to help you classify things. Who was the prior carrier? We're going to say this was a new purchase and that it hasn't been vacant since 60 days after purchase. Here we go. Do you have any prior losses? We're going to say no to this. This stuff comes in still water decline, wave decline in your notification. So if I went out of here and did something, I could see that that stuff is finished, come back in, and complete it. Now, obviously, this is not a real home, therefore, it was unable to verify in Stillwater's database what the address was, and then also same with Vave. It says incorrect floor area and such because it is not accurate to the information we put in. So in this case, you would essentially, if you had put in the right data and you still got declines on your product, you would request a quote. In this request a quote, I would say, hey, my stuff is declined. Say nothing rated for my client's home. And you can send that to directly to our backend team. That is where these emails go, and because it's personal lines, it will go to our personal lines team. And what they will do is they will get a link to your quote so they can see all of the information provided, and they will submit that information out to the vast number of carriers we have in the back end of the house. Obviously, these are specially integrated carriers that we work with on a day-to-day basis, and we have hooked into their API, they've hooked into our API, so on and so forth. But we have a lot more products in the back end that we can submit out to different MGAs and different carriers. Now that you've seen that, we will go back and we will change the homeowner's location so we can give it a valid location. We're going to remove this one, and we are going to add a location in North Tampa that I know is an actual home. Just looked it up on Zillow not too long ago. Here is the property. We're going to say single family detached, and as you can see, it pulled in some of the data of the home, not all of it, but some of it. It'll pull in, since it was an accurate address that was a home, pulled in stuff like year built, exterior walls, family unit, what type, I added that number of stories and such, and gave us all our property data that we would expect. Foundation type, we're going to see concrete slab because it's Florida. Let's go hip. And then composition, 3-tab shingle. Going back through here, it does have a garage. This is yes, it's a newer home. And no, there's no fireplaces. Continue. Yes, these are the year updated. This is the same stuff we had put in before. These are safeguards that get added to the home. We're going to keep them the same, and then all this information is still the same. Yes, we just bought it, and this is information about the person who is your client purchasing the home. Again, no losses, and then we will continue into the quote rating portion. Perfect. Now that we have both quotes back from their respective companies, we can look at the rates and see that this is vastly cheaper than our Stillwater quote. You can see your estimated commission on how much you would get, the monthly price if they were to finance, and the one-time payment if they were to go that route. So for whatever reason, we can go in here, see maybe why it's cheaper. Maybe it's deductible, maybe it's wind, maybe it's the coverage amounts. If the client wants a specific coverage A or anything of that nature, you can change it and then save it. Coming down here, you will see the eligibility questions for the property. Has the risk suffered any water damage loss in the past 5 years? We're going to say no, because we're trying to keep our rate here. Obviously, you say accurately to whatever your client information can give you, or whatever you find informationally on the home. We are going to re-rate it from that point. Now that the quote is re-rated and has come back, we have answered the eligibility questions, and it has a effective date that is in the future. We can attach this quote to the proposal, a proposal that we then send to the customer. Once we've attached it, we can detach it, or we can head straight to the proposals, or we can go back to our carriers. We're going to head straight to the proposal. In this proposal, we can see, again, the same information, just laid out. We can add notes before we send this to the customer, like, I hope you like the rate. You can save that, and then once it's saved it, and the quote document is attached, then we can send it either by email or by email and text. Another thing to note before we send it, we also have cross-sale opportunities. In this case, it's a personal lines quote, so there's not a ton of terms of cross-sale of similar products. In a work situation, there might be a ton of crossover, and you'll see that in a minute when I go over a little bit of the virtual advisor stuff. Going back to proposals, once we send this, it will show as sent, and you can see when you sent it, and you can see what the rate was when you sent it then. You can also go ahead and download the quote doc to view it. Some of the other things I'd like to note in here are the up top icons. From here, if you're using your phone or if you're using Google Voice, you can call your customer. You can also message your customer directly from inside the quote if you didn't want to use the message feature in the side assistant. Another thing you can do is toggle the priority of the quote. You can change it to urgent. And then lastly, again, you can pull up the help thing from inside the tab. One last thing to show you before we end the new submission section is the virtual advisor. So if we were to come in here and we were to click on business, say our customer came in and they're like, hey, I have this business. Then we started asking them a little bit of questions about it to figure out things like, what projects should I sell this guy? Or what do I think fits his business to keep him safe from majority of angles? And first one is how many employees does he have? Is it just him, or is it one or more? We're going to say it's one or more. In addition to the owners of the business, does the company have a board of directors? We're going to say no to that one. It's a smaller business. What does the business operate out of? We're going to say he rents a property. What does the business specialize in? We're going to say provides service, most businesses. Who owns the vehicles of the business? We're going to say he doesn't use vehicles for his business. What type of sensitive data is stored on the business computer? We're going to say they sell items, so credit cards. And this is all the products it would give you in the case of answering those questions and what it thinks and why we recommend it and what it covers. Just a good comprehensive understanding of, hey, these are all the angles you could be vulnerable to a heavy loss. From here, you can also just begin the quote, and it'll launch you straight into the quoting process we just saw on the side, answering all the questions for each of the individual products, and then you will be able to see the quotes all throughout. Last thing I want to note before we wrap up is now that we have moved our quote from once we've sent it to the customer, from our proposal page, it will move from actionable, because now we have completed the action that we wanted, to pending, meaning that the customer has to take action for us to continue. So in this case, we're waiting on the proposal response. And then here you can see a quote that was toggled with priority, saying urgent, and it moves to the top. We can click the date and set when this needs to be done by. Say it needs to be done by next Wednesday, and it will adjust it accordingly. Thank you for listening. I hope you made it to the end, and have a great day. Hope you understand the quoting process a little bit better. Bye.